And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster and I'm touching base with you as I do every day. What's going on, folks? What's going on, Touch Base Daily, folks? How are you doing today? It is so good to be here. Can I say the weather in New York City is simply amazing? I get to wear a sweatshirt today because it's so cool. This morning, it was near chilly. It's been nice this morning. And let's see here. Let's see. Good morning. Who's first in the building? Chris is first in the building. Chris, good morning. How are you? What's happening in your world, my dear? Let's see who is trying to. People, I had to always, when people are texting me in the morning, I go, okay, it's good, it's legit. Okay, good job. And I see second in place is good rising, good morning, Ron, everyone in the RLP family. And next, Lisa is third. She's in place, third in place. Good morning, Lisa. How are you? And I have your belongings. We have to. I'm not mailing it. We're gonna have to hang out. So that's how you're getting it. And Brian is in the building. What's going on, Mr. B? Amparo's in the building. What's going on, Grand Rising? She said, I took the bronze. That's right. Third place, the bronze. Omar is in the building. What's going on, brother Omar? How you guys doing? Everybody's in the building. So today is Touch Base Daily, and it's our Tip Tuesday. We're talking photography tips today, and we are going to be talking about use the camera you already have. That's the topic for today. Use the camera you already have. But before we go there, we'll be talking our regular touch base stuff. Okay, so I hope everyone's having a good morning. And if you haven't seen what's going on in the headlines with the politics, I tell you, politics. The orange man is already trying to sow the seeds of the election is rigged. They're rigged, the same stupid lines he's used in all of the previous elections he's been in. It's always rigged if he's losing. What a fool. Yes, today I'm name calling because I just think he is such a fool. And all the people that follow him, may they all wake up to that person that they're following. It's ridiculous. Faking and saying that the AI crowds are there. And he was on Elon Musk last night, 40-minute delay. I did not listen to it. I was not going to listen to the orange man's rants, which everything on there for Elon's a liar and Trump's a liar. They're both liars. They're both from the same bird. Birds of a feather flock together. And they are not to be trusted, neither one of them. And so, anyways, let me just say hello to some folks. I just had to get that off my chest since that was last night. Did anyone listen to the Elon Musk and Trump Twitter event or X event? Omar says, "Why are you wearing why are you wearing a sweatshirt? It's cool. I have all my windows open, and it's a cool morning in New York. It feels so good here. Oh my goodness. I love a cool weather day. It could be like this all year long, and I would be extremely happy." And Anthony says, "Good morning, fam." Elise is in the building. Good morning. Good morning. And Elise was sharing last night. Oh, Elise took us there last night, or I should say evening. She took us there yesterday evening and making us realize and sharing with us how important it is to count our days, count our blessings, and make sure that we do the most in our days. And it was really, really deep, really inspirational. Love those reminders. Life is short. And as Janet always sends me in her email, she always says, life is fragile. It certainly is. I see Omar. He said, Omar, right? It's hot. All you folks in Texas, it's hot. But it's nice and cool here. Lisa says, it's nice chilly here, Omar. Yes, it is. I love this weather. Good morning. Elise says, good morning to everyone. Brian's got the 100% up there. Lisa C says, he said Kamala looks like Melania on Time Magazine. He is such a Fruit Loop. Don't insult Fruit Loops. Don't insult my Fruit Loops. I used to love Fruit Loops when I was a kid. when cereal used to be real, I used to love my Fruit Loops. Don't insult Fruit Loops. Yes, but he did say that. He also called Kamala the B word, which is ridiculous. He's a horrible person, just horrible. Omar says, hey, Lisa, that's nice. Omar says, it's 102 degrees planned for Texas. Oh, no, 102, I could not survive. I tell people all the time, I could not live in the southern states. Just can't. It's too hot. You know, after being in Martha's Vineyard for the week, I said, I could probably live here as a senior citizen. They have a hospital there. They have everything I would need on the island. It's north, so it's never extremely hot. I mean, it gets humid there, which is ridiculous, but most homes have air conditionings. And what is also beautiful about Martha's Vineyard is that it has lots of nature. And I say, as a senior person, I can live there. I'm looking for northern places to live in my senior life. So if anyone knows anything in the senior living in cool places, please let me know. I need to plan for 10 years from now. And I see here, Derek is in the building. Mr. D. Tuggle is in the building. Let me get the right one there. He says, good morning to everybody. Good morning. Yes, everyone is in the building. Elise says no, and I bet he didn't brag. He didn't drag Elon the way he dragged Rachel Scott. Exactly. He's hard. I mean, can we all just say, I mean, again, for those that don't know, the Orange Man is only running to keep himself out of prison. He's running for his life. So guess what? He's going to act like a cornered rat as we get closer to the election, as he begins to see himself losing, as he see people turning away from him. The fever, I think, is about to break. I read an article this week. I think it was by Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders mentioned this week. He says the the MAGA fever is breaking. I think so. It's only they're not that big of a party when you think about the mega people. However, this year election, a lot of Republicans will not be voting for. The Republicans that stood with him before are not standing with him, not the real Republicans. So now you see the new campaign is Republicans for Harris. And they are on a mission. They are on a mission. They had a big rally in I think it was Arizona. They had a big rally, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, in Arizona. And so people are waking up. They're tired. People are tired of the chaos. People are tired. People just want normal lives. People just want to be happy. Yeah, people are tired. People are tired. Remember the old saying, I'm so tired of being tired. And hey, David's in the building. David Mascaro is in the building. Yes. Let's see. I love the country sayings from country folks. Hot as fish grease in the Dallas, in the D. Fish grease. What is fish grease, y'all? What is fish grease? Anthony, tell us what is fish grease. Oh my gosh, fish grease. David says good morning to all. And wait, where did he call her? Yes, he did. He called her the B word. Yes, he did. He is disgusting. And he always attacks women. He is a weak man, if we can call him a man. Human, hopefully. Elise says, good morning. Okay. David says, David, I did mention it to a friend. I said, I am going to look at living in Alaska. As Alaska warms up, it won't be as extreme to live in Alaska because the world is changing. Elise, do you want to come on and talk about that briefly? Let me send you an invite. Yes, that would be good. Also, for those that don't know, if you are living in Texas right now, if you are living in Texas, you need to check your voter rolls. They have eliminated, I do believe, 2.1 million people off the rolls. So check. That's a lot of people, guys. I think it's 2.1 that I read. Yeah, you need to be looking and see if you are still registered to vote in Texas. They have been eliminating people off the rolls in Texas. They're doing it in other states as well. But Texas has been in the news, I think, yesterday. So I'm going to send my Elise an invite. She can probably talk more about this as well. So that's the beauty of this community. Ron don't have to talk about everything. We got a community of folks that can talk about many things. Yes. So, okay. Elise, your invitation is there. I sent your invitation. Also, what else? Okay. And Elise was mentioning, oh, did I miss Fruit Loops? Did I miss Anthony's Fruit Loops? Fruit Loops is the reason I love Earl Grey tea. I think the cereal laced with bergamot. Oh my gosh. I used to love me some Fruit Loops. I ate a whole box. I could eat a whole box when I was a kid. My mother would be upset with me. Ron, only one bowl. No, could never have just one bowl of Fruit Loops. He says, we have to remember that Kamala will need the House and Senate to be blue. Absolutely, guys. We got to make sure it's blue. Mellow Meek is in the building. What's going on, Meek? Mickey is in the building. How you doing? Long time no see and speak. So good to see you. Anthony Rowland says, he called her that. I'm private, but he got them out. Yeah. He got dimmed out. Oh, hey, Janet. Speaking of Janet, she's in the building. Good morning. I was using your phrase, Janet, saying life is fragile. And yes, Elise said he's definitely a weak man. And I'm still thinking about that fish grease. Anyway, moving right along. I don't know the actual deadline. What's the Texas deadline to re-register? Guys, make sure you are being in tune. If you any Texans in the building, there's a couple of them I know in here. When is the Texas deadline to re-register? You guys need to know this information in Texas. Texas is trying to do some stuff under the table. So make sure you are on the rolls and you have not been taken off the rolls. And also, make sure you go to, I think it's I put it in yesterday's voting.gov, which is part, and then you'll get the states, individual states, and the information for the voting and also for absentee voting. So make sure you go to voters. I think it's vote.com, vote.gov. That is a government. That is the official. Okay, I see here. And Paros loves Fruit Loops also. He said Fruit Loops are crack. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Anthony's giving us some. He's giving us some profound information. Fish grease, oil, or shortening is what the fish is fried in, and it's gotta be hot. So the fish is nice and crispy. That's what he's talking about when he says fish grease hot in Dallas. Fish grease hot in Dallas. Okay, I love it. Love it. I just got some education this morning on fish grease. Janice said you should check your voter registration eligibility no matter where you live. Brooklyn purged their list in the second Obama term. Whoa! Thank you, Janet, for that information. I do agree. Make sure across the country you are checking, and make sure you tell your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your moms, your dads. They need to be checking the register eligibility. Make sure you check those roles. Lisa says, "Hey, Mika." Hey, he's not. Wait. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Miki. Miki's in the building. She said, "I'm coming." So Elise is in the building, so we're gonna bring her on in a moment once she gives me the thumbs up, and I'm going to pull her in. Kimmy Kim is in the building. What's going on, Kimmy Kim? You so cool. You so cool. Lisa says, "I definitely love Fruit Loops growing up, but also sugar corn pups." Oh, I didn't like sugar corn pops. Anyway, sugar smacks. Oh, didn't you love those sugar smacks? That little frog. Yeah. And believe it or not, cornflakes. I used to love cornflakes too, Lisa. The only one I didn't like that you have on here is corn pops. I don't know. I just couldn't get with the corn pops. It's the texture. It was the texture. It tastes good, but the texture. I'm a texture eater for those that don't know. I am a texture eater. And welcome Elise to the building. What's going on, Elise?
Let me turn my sound on. Good morning.
Elise, did you like corn pops?
So I was raised by my father, right? For all intents and purposes, probably the first 10 years of my life. And so we never ate cereal for breakfast.
Really?
No, because he cooked breakfast every day.
Oh, the luxury.
I know people talk about whether or not you have sugar and grits, but never was sugar and grits, but we might have smothered chicken and grits in the morning. Because he would smother chicken in the morning. And so things like sugar pops.
Yes.
He would have it so that we ate it like popcorn. We never ate it with milk. So I never ate cereal with milk before the age of like 10. I never ate cereal. And when I moved with my mother and she bought cereal, I told her we don't eat cereal. She had to start cooking. You breakfast. I need you to make some grits and eggs. And I actually told her I was 10 years old. And I said, and if you can smother some chicken one day. But
wow,
no cereal.
You were spoiled.
I was. My father definitely spoiled us. I mean, I literally had never eaten cereal with milk.
Wow.
No.
We had cereal every day. You know, when I think of, my mom tried to get us to eat cream of wheat and oatmeal. And for those that don't know, I don't eat cream of wheat, I don't eat oatmeal, and I don't eat grits. I don't eat anything that's jiggly or watery. And so that was my big pet peeve growing up. My mother traumatized me with trying to make us eat cream of wheat. And every morning for school, she says, "You got to have the cream of wheat." This is before we had cereal.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is disgusting. I don't want it. I was always the good child. I never fought my mother on anything except cream of wheat and oatmeal and grits.
Look, my mother loves oatmeal, which I eat it. I don't mind eating. It's not my favorite because I didn't eat any of that. I really didn't eat any of that before I moved with my mother. And
wow.
And then my mother wished I was the one that would cooperate. But cereal for me was always disgusting because once you put the milk in it, it changed textures and became soft. So it was like mush. So I didn't like it.
That's why we had Fruit Loops. We ate our Fruit Loops and we ate them quick. We ate the Fruit Loops. We ate that sugar smack, whatever that thing was called. That was really tasty back in the day. Anyway, if you're listening here, make sure you like, subscribe, and share our platform. Make sure you do that. That helps the algorithms know that you love us and that we should be listened to, and that they will give us more leeway in the, we're gonna call it cyberspace waves. Okay, we got our Elise here. Elise, share your thoughts. Share your thoughts on the elections.
So on the election, we know they've always tried voter suppression, and it's right now kind of amplifying, right? So, in the state of Georgia, the person down there is trying to have it so that that you can have people removed from the voter rolls. And it's not necessarily that they come in and say, it had an option that said, I want to be taken off. Now, people aren't going down there and taking themselves off voter registration rolls. But because of the way it's set up, someone else could do it.
Yes.
And so and they can challenge you being on there with no reason at all. So, that's what happened in the state of Georgia. And of course, you saw the thing in the state of Texas where they purged 2.1 million people.
So it was 2.1, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2.1, which was about 12% of the population, voter population. So
in Texas.
In the state of Texas. So you really need to check, and as they said earlier, check no matter where you are, because there's always some purging going on out there someplace. And definitely make sure you know the rules. Like when you go to these sites and you register online, there's some states that allow you to put all the information online. However, they require you have to read the fine print. And Texas and Georgia are two of those states that I know of right now where you need to read the fine print. You need to print it out, sign it, and mail it in. And from what I saw, Texas deadline is October the 7th.
October 7th. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And so
guys,
that's very important that you make sure that when you go in there to register, if you're doing it online, make sure you read everything from your state, all the requirements, and because that submit button does not mean that you have officially been registered. And especially in states like Texas and Georgia, you have to actually mail that in.
Wow.
So you need to be real careful about what's going on out here as far as that's going. But we are, it's and just to emphasize to people, if your vote wasn't that important, they wouldn't be trying to suppress it. And at this point in time, in all honesty, and no matter who gets offended or not offended, we don't have time for third-party voting. We don't have time for not voting. That's not an option. I know people want to feel that way because you have to understand what's at stake. And most people don't believe, some people, I guess, I won't say most people understand. There's some people out here who think that somehow not voting for Kamala Harris or not voting is going to harm someone. That only harms you. They only harm you and the people. It does not harm the people that you think you're harming. It doesn't. Who you harm is you and the future of, if you have any children or a young relative, anyone, it harms everybody. And so when you think about those things, it's not, you can't think out of emotions. You really can't think out of emotions. And I know there are multiple causes that a lot of us not happy about what's happening. But however, if you don't vote or you waste your vote on a third party, you have to be careful. You have to be prepared for what that means. And when someone tells you that if I get in, you won't have to worry about voting again, just think about Hitler. And I'm going to always constantly remind people, once he took over, the people in Germany did not have the right to vote until 1946, which was after World War II. As a result of World War II, they regained their right to vote. They regained their right to be full citizens of that country. And that's what's at stake.
Did you say now? Can you repeat that again? Because I don't think people understand that when Hitler took the rights of voting away from the people, and they, believe it or not, the people passed their own law to get rid of their own vote.
Absolutely.
Because they didn't know, they were so naive. Right. They voted on disbanding their council, was it something council? Mm-hmm. They voted to not vote.
Right. And once you put the dictator in place, I have sounds coming in. You weren't able to vote anymore until 1946, after the war. Yes. That's the only reason they gained their rights back. And this, the former president they're already told you. He said it in front of that Christian group. No, if you elect me, you won't have to worry about voting again. And he meant what he said, because that's part of what they plan on doing. And that voter suppression is how it works. And they're already in some of these states. You have to, he named, I don't know if you all saw the video yesterday, where he named 3 people who are the electors down in the state of Georgia. He said their full names out, first, last name.
Yes,
who are
he did.
election deniers, who they're counting on not to certify the election. So most people, if you don't understand, what they're planning on is having people in place so that in these states, they have people in place who will not certify the election. They don't certify the election. That goes to the what? The House of Representatives, which is all those MAGA people.
Yes.
That's who's in control. And so if you want to play the game, my son, I have to say what my son always say. My son says, if you want to play ball-headed games with stupid prizes, don't vote or vote third party, and worst of all, vote for that person who you know is already not in support of your rights. I don't care who you are. If you are anything other than a rich white man in this country, he is against you. And I want everybody to hear that. If you're anything other than a rich white man, I didn't say rich white person.
That's right.
He is against you. And this is the playbook. This is the one book that people always say he read, which was Mein Kampf. This is all about Hitler. This is all about dictatorship. It's about total control of everything and the rights that they want to give you out there. And if anybody, I hope no one in this platform is falling for that the lie out there that Project 2025 is not going to be. It's implemented.
And it's being implemented now.
It's already being implemented.
It's already being implemented.
Right. And if you don't believe it can get worse, it will. But it's up to us. We are making conscious choices.
Yes.
You're making a conscious choice to not vote, or you have in a community of people who are deciding, making conscious choices to not vote or vote for a third party, then you need to sit down and have a real conversation first with yourself, if that's where you are. Then secondly, with that community of people. And I always say we're not telling people who to vote, but I put it this way: if you want to have freedom, democracy, and maintain your citizenship in this country, then you need to make a choice of the person who will make sure that happens. And we don't understand how much power we have. And as we talk about Republicans who are supporting Harris, those Republicans may or may not vote all blue.
That's right.
And so we still have to be conscious of the fact that she needs a House of Representatives and a Senate to get anything that we want accomplished. As people criticize, as we in our community criticize, well, Joe Biden had done this, but then I've told you before, that's because you haven't looked to see what they've actually done in the Biden administration. And also, did we make sure that he had the House that he needed and the Senate that he needed? The answer is no.
He could have done more. He could have done more if he had a Democratic House of Representatives.
Especially that House of Representatives, and people constantly explaining to people that bills come out of the House of Representatives. They're the ones that write those things. They're the ones that push them up to the Senate. Once it goes through the Senate, then it gets to the president.
And then he signs it.
And then he signs it into law. That's how bills become laws. And I think that's just an elementary lesson that we have to, civics lesson that we have to keep teaching. And I know there are people even listening now who have their thoughts about voting, because I've seen it. I've seen them write about it. But I'm just going to tell you, if you want to keep the rights that you have and understand where those rights come from, and I constantly tell people that the reason that anyone, and this is something we have to always remember, that the rights that a lot of people have to do the things that they do are because of the civil rights movement from Black American people. They died and fought for you all to have these rights, the right to vote. And yes, are they being twisted by this current Supreme Court? And if you don't want this to continue with the Supreme Court, then you need to understand how you need to vote. Because something needs to change. They need to have some restrictions on them. But it's up to us. And when people say, I don't know if she can win that, are you voting for it? Are you encouraging people to vote? If you're not voting, the only way she doesn't win is we don't come out and do what we need to do. That's the only reason that she doesn't win. And we have to shut out the noise. We can't pay attention to the news platforms who are letting people like the former president just sit and talk without being checked. We have to do our own fact checking. And plus, most of the time, he's always lying anyway. So, and it. It's obvious to tell that he's lying.
Every word that comes out of that man's mouth is a lie. He don't know what truth is.
So David, that's all. The whole defunding public education is a part of Project 2025. They will dissolve the Department of Education. They'll send it to states. And I want to remind people, because I grew up. I'm 68 years. Oh yes, 68 years old. So I grew up in the segregated South. Even though I was born in '56, and that's when that Brown versus Board of Education got. It didn't change in Alabama. We were still segregated, right?
Yes.
And so one of the things that happens is when they go and they give the money, the states get the money. They get to choose where it goes. And if you talk about private and parents like, oh, I want a right to choose. So I'm in DC and they put vouchers in DC. We have charter schools in DC. We have voucher schools who closed down because of misuse of funds. We had charter schools who have closed down because misuse of funds. And the education it hasn't really gotten any better. But that's what happens in states. And then and the whole part about drafts. Well, the ones in private schools won't be a part of that because they're being private.
Say that. I was just going to go there. You say it, Elise.
Yeah. You'll be in public school. So your child or grandchildren, whoever it is, will be in a public school and they can be drafted. And I took the ASVAB in high school. And that's what it is. We all went to the cafeteria or someplace and took a test that we knew nothing about, but we took it. And that was in the 70s. And so all of this is not that long ago. Everything is not that long ago.
Not long ago.
We're not even talking 100 years. We're talking recent times, my time. And it's not that long ago. And so when those states get that, it's just like, they're like block grants. They get to look at school districts that they're going to make sure get proper funding and which ones don't. And I can guarantee you that if you're looking at urban school districts, if you're in Texas, you're looking at Dallas and Houston with those large Black populations. You know what they've done to Houston already. You know they've taken over the Houston school system already.
Yes.
They're gonna also mess with your money. And so we have to be vigilant and believe what people are saying. If you cannot sit and read it and believe what they're telling you already, they're not hiding it anymore. They're not hiding it.
And they're also, I mean, and this was a discussion this morning. I think it was on Morning Joe or one of the other platforms. And they were saying these folks are making it plain and clear of what they want to do. And they're not hiding it. And they are going after, I think it was Joy Reid I read. I was looking at Joy Reid. Anything that has DEI, anything that's related to people of color, anything, Project 2025, the underlying message or the underlying laws that they're trying to create all deal with reversing anything that had anything to do with Black people gaining rights. If it's at the bottom, because when you think about the amendments, Amendment 13, 14, 15, when Black people got those rights because they were mistreated, even though they were free as slaves, they still were being mistreated and did not have an upper hand or didn't have a hand at all.
Right.
But they want to reverse everything that's related to Black people, because again, what affects Black people affects everyone else. People don't women, for those that don't know, white women gain many rights because of of civil rights laws.
Absolutely.
Everyone else gains rights and freedoms because of the civil rights laws. Right. You wouldn't have gay marriage and all those things if it wasn't for the civil rights laws. Right. So you knock down all of the civil rights laws, then you cancel out all society except what Elise said, white men.
And you have to realize that white women benefited most from affirmative action laws.
That's right.
They did. And that's the part that people don't say out loud enough for me, is that that's the biggest group who benefited. And they want to paint the picture that it really was Black people. Yeah, pro-Palestinian voters will not vote. And I hear that, and I know what they're saying. That's a lot of absolutely, it's a lot of voters. But if the part is to challenge this part. You don't vote for her and she loses. You get him, and he's already told you he's going to have a Muslim ban. He's already talked to Netanyahu about let's get this over fast. So those things are already out there. So if you want to have the opportunity to be in conversation about what needs to change, because as someone, I was listening to a conversation between two women yesterday. The question was, what was happening prior to the Biden administration in Palestine?
That's right.
What was happening prior to that? They were taking over they were still doing settlements. They were still killing Palestinians. They were still doing all those things. The problem now is that October 7th happened, and it got bigger, right?
They just lost their minds and went and lost.
And so as we protest, I will say to anyone, and just like I said before, you're not voting doesn't hurt who you think it hurts. It hurts you. It hurts the very people you feel you are protecting. It's going to hurt them. We have to figure out how to do it. We have to figure out how we get people in position and give them what we know they need to have, so that we have bargaining chips. You're not voting is not going to be a bargaining chip. It's going to result in something far worse than you could ever imagine. And he's already said they plan on deporting at least 11 million people.
And that's, and my question is, where are they going to deport them to?
And that's always a question, right? So where are they going to deport them?
Where are they going? In the desert of Arizona, in the desert of Nevada, in some kind of, camp or whatever. Right. It's just, people, I say it to all the people that tell me about
that's in Project 2025 too. Those camps are in Project 2025.
Yeah, those camps are going to be real. And but when people tell me about, I'm against the Biden administration for what they've done, and the Gaza Strip and Palestinians, right? We love Palestinians. We all do. But guess what? And I love how Kamala the other day was shouting in the rally, and she said, "Wait a minute, I'm speaking." But not only that, she said, if you want Trump to win, just say you want him to win. It just you don't have to be here. You can just go and vote for Trump. But if you vote for Trump, he's doing nothing for you on the Palestinian conflict. Right. It's over. Because he and Netanyahu are friends.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I do believe there will be, as we get closer to the elections, there will be some kind of outbreak that goes on in the Middle East, or some kind that Netanyahu will create for Trump, for the benefit of Trump, to make Kamala Harris say, you don't want to vote for a female president during wartime, because that's a psychological mindset. Oh, you can't have a woman in a wartime. So beware of everything. They're going to pull out every single thing they can to discredit and to weaken Kamala Harris.
And I think we have to remember that, and it's something that someone talks about, in all the wars that we've had and all the wars we have not won, men have been in charge. Men have been in charge.
Let's try something different.
We didn't win the Vietnam War. We didn't win the Korean War. We haven't won any wars. We pulled out, but we didn't win. And so
that's right.
And Dr. Tachi, you're absolutely right. There will be no Palestine, because and what people, if you did not notice, when Netanyahu left Washington, he went straight to Mar-a-Lago.
Went straight there?
He went straight there to meet with him. Now, why was a not sitting president meeting with the head of some other country?
Yes, right.
That's not what happens, but that's because they're colluding together, right? So we can say a lot of things, and we can be angry about a lot of things. And while we're doing that, while we're being pulled over to look at separate issues and talk about our feelings and all, and it is a lot. When we're being pulled away, we're not focused on what's been guaranteed to happen to this country if he gets in.
Yes.
Those things in Project 2025 are about our countries.
That's
our
right.
country specifically, and what's going to happen here. It's about your neighbors and those people. And I know there are a lot of people from Latin American countries that they want to vote. But when he talks about deporting, a big chunk of that is you.
That's right.
Big chunk of those people are you.
It's Spanish, Hispanic people. It's people that look Muslim. I mean, and then also the policing laws, how he wants unlimited immunity.
But they would have immunity. It's like when when Sonia was murdered, that police officer would just get away with it.
That's right.
Which was what the union out there is trying to do. But I want to go back to something else when we talk about people being deported and them wanting to take the whole idea of birthrights away from people. I don't know if, like, Ron, you're a history person. Understand the history of where that came from and why it came about. It came about because we were not fully considered citizens of this country when our ancestors were freed.
3/5, right? 3/5.
We were 3/5. And once they were freed, for them to be considered citizens, that's when it came that if you were born here, you were able to be citizens here. And I want people to understand how long that's been in the book. This is just coming to place when we started having immigrants coming from other countries. This came as a direct result of what was happening to us. You know, right. At that time, when during slavery, as long as your mother was a slave, you were a slave.
That's right.
And once the slave trade, they couldn't get more slaves imported. That's when the impregnation of enslaved women started happening by whomever, whenever, even white enslavers and overseas impregnated women, because that's how they were generating new slaves.
New stock, as they said it.
They were generating new stock. And as long as that mother was a slave, that's why all of Sally Hemings' children were all slaves, because she was a slave. Didn't matter that Jefferson was their father, but she was a slave. So they were slaves. As long as your mother was a slave, you were a slave. And those were rights that people, and most people especially people who attack Black Americans, don't understand. You have all the rights you have because of Black Americans. You literally have all the rights you have because of Black Americans.
Amen.
Prior to all those things, the only people that had rights were land-owning white men who had those rights.
That's right.
And now it's about that same thing. If you're not a rich white man, I'm going to say it again. The former president is not talking about you. And another thing that came up, understanding that if you were talking about your taxes, all the tax things that have been happening, those are the things that came under his administration that will not expire until next year. All the tax things that are happening in this country were implemented by him. They do not end until 2025, which is why the billionaires want him back in, because they want to keep those tax cuts. They want to keep the tax cuts. So be real clear. All the revisions to the tax laws happen under him. They're still in place. And they will expire next year.
Yes. So that's why rich people are flocking for him. Anyway, I'm going to have to go into lessons. So
yes, go into lessons.
But Elise, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, you always give us some wisdom. I was telling Amparo and I were talking last night about a situation that happened. And I was saying our community has we have so many experts in this community. It is so beautiful. I mean, Elise you're still a teacher, right? Are you still teaching?
Look, I'm a lifelong teacher. I'm retired.
Yeah, you're retired, right? I just want to make sure. I said, she's teaching somewhere on the side. But Elise has been a teacher all her life. She's a bona fide teacher. And you can, I mean, if you haven't caught on to how she shares, she lays out the structure and she shares exactly what those facts are. So guys, also continue to, if you haven't linked onto her, where can people find you, Elise?
At Alize, ALIEZE _ on Instagram. But just to go back to what you said, I try to give facts.
That's right. It's not about our feelings.
I don't try to give my feelings, because my feelings aren't going to get you any place. My rage isn't going to get you any place. It could get you more enraged, but it's not going to get you any place.
That's right.
But I give facts. And as my former pastor said, my deceased pastor said, you don't have to believe me. Go read it for yourself. Stop being lazy. Stop listening to talking heads on Instagram who are putting out false information about Kamala Harris, who are putting out false information around Project 2025. Read it for yourself. You can research everything about Kamala Harris. You can research everything about the Biden administration. You can research it all. for yourself. You don't have to believe anyone. And you can also research the other person and find out all the things, all the lies that have been told. You can research for yourself and understand at the end of the day, we have two choices. We have freedom, democracy, and your citizenship or dictatorship. Third parties aren't going to help you because they're not going to win. They're going to take votes from somewhere. They're not going to win. And we need a tsunami. We need something that they cannot challenge in these states to happen.
We need 60 to 70% across the state, across the country.
Absolutely.
No 50%, no 52%, no 55. We need 60 plus and more. So let's make sure that everyone gets out and vote.
Get out and vote if you have a primary today. Every election is important. Your primaries are important. I know, what is it? APAC has been spending a lot of money on people and getting some people put out of their positions.
That's right. Getting those progressives out. Yes, they've been working hard.
You got to vote. Y'all got to vote. And then make sure, I don't care if you voted in this year's primary, go and check your voter registration.
Yes.
They can purge you at any point.
Keep checking.
Yes.
Okay. Right, we're going to let Elise leave, and then we're going to go into our lesson for the day. Thank you, Elise. Love you, my dearest.
Thank you. Love you too.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, so let's go right into our lesson, and we are talking today. Use the camera you already have. Let's start it. Today's tip is all about making the most of the camera you already have. It's easy to get caught up in the latest gear, but remember your creative skills and understanding of camera settings are what truly makes your photos stand out. Here are a few ways to focus on improving your craft. And can I say, one of the things that bothered me the most when I became a photographer is everyone is always worried about gear. You go in some of the photographer circles, what camera you got? What number? What's the make? What you got there? What's the make of the lens? And you just sit there and you go, and I learned from people like Omar, who's one of my mentors, or Seth, all the folks at Adorama, and all the teachers that I've had over they said, Ron, do not obsess with the camera. The best camera you have is the camera. The best camera to use is the camera you have. There you go. Okay, let's go on. That's one of my pet peeves. So I said, let me share this today. Number one, master your settings. Spend time learning the ins and outs of your camera. Understand how to adjust your ISO, your aperture, and your shutter speed to get the perfect shot in any lighting condition. Play with your camera. Play with it. There's times when I first started, and I still do it to this day, I give myself assignments. I give myself self-assignments for the month. I will say, you know what? I'm going to use a particular lens. I'm going to use I'm going to use the settings of my ISO at 400 and then just play with 400 or just play with 1000. Or if it's my shutter speed, I'm just going to use, I'm going to play with shutter speeds all this month. So give yourself, I call lesson months. Just you find your time in the month to learn your camera, if it's a smartphone, learn your settings on your smartphones. Learn what it is to be in portrait mode. Learn what it is to be in night mode. Learn what it is to be in the regular settings. Learn to be your camera and all those settings that you have in your smartphone. Because those smartphones, you don't necessarily always have to use them for those purposes. If you know how to use your camera in your smartphone on portrait mode, you can also use that on food, even though there is a food setting, but also you can use your food setting on a portrait. So make sure you learn these settings on your smartphone, learn them on your cameras. Make sure you take time to know your settings. People say, Ron, how did you get into photography? It was because I used my smartphone. My smartphone is what taught me how to be a photographer. Right. I used my smartphone. That's what I used when I traveled, was the smartphone. And I learned every setting. You couldn't beat me on my smartphone. I can make things happen on my smartphone. So guys, master your settings. Number 2, practice composition. Great composition can turn an ordinary photo into an extraordinary one. Experiment with the rule of thirds, leading lines, and framing to create visual appealing images. Composition is what tells the story. It helps you tell the story, right? It's how you add little elements to tell the story, your subject, and then making sure there are certain aspects behind the subject that now places the subject in a position, a place, right? So make sure that you study and practice composition. Go on Google. Go on Google. Can I say it again? Go on Google. And you can put in, because this is how I learn. Go in Google and say, I want to learn rule of thirds, photos of rule of thirds. And it will just give you everything. Then you say, you know what? I want to learn about leading lines today. I'm going to put in the Google search, photos on leading lines. There we have it. And if you want, you can go through some of our own lessons in the past. We've covered most of these subjects, rule of thirds, leading lines, right? And then you can go onto Google and say, I want to learn how to frame and create a visually appealing image. And it will give you suggestions. So you don't need to always have a instructor. I teach photography. As a matter of fact, I probably should bring that up so that people know that I do it, right? Here's a little self promo of myself. It's somewhere in here. There we go. If you want to learn, you can always reach out to me. I do classes. I teach. So if you want to learn photography, hands-on, one-on-one, visually, I can teach you if you live in Australia. Thank goodness for technology. Okay, back to the show. Okay, practice composition. Go online. Your online is your friend. Also, YouTube. We are on YouTube now. Use your YouTube. You can go in and say, I want to learn about rule of thirds. There's so many photographers out there that are putting out free information for you to learn, right? So you can go onto YouTube. Nothing is, other than having a personal instructor, is better than a YouTube university. We have YouTube University. So make sure that you learn from YouTube University. Okay, next thing, experiment with lighting. Natural light can be your best friend. Try shooting at different times of the day to see how the light affects your photos. Don't be afraid to play with shadows and highlights. Can I say that again? Try shooting at different times of the day to see how the light affects your photos, right? A lot of photographers are here. I know here in New York City, some of the famous photographers, they walk around New York City and they hang out on a particular corner or a particular spot or a particular area, and they study the light throughout the day. And so they may go there 5 o'clock today, or they may go there 3 o'clock tomorrow, and they may go there 12 o'clock at noon to get the feel of what that corner or what that area has. And then they take amazing photos because they know the best time for the best light. So does that make sense? So don't just, yes, there's a time to just go out and just take photos, but it is really great with good photographers. They go out and experiment and keep checking out that spot. Or let's say you're in the country and there's a particular way the landscape is set, and there's a barn behind you, and or a barn in front of you, and you're like, wow, that barn is beautiful on the horizon. And you may say, oh, let me go check out the barn in the morning. Let me check out the barn in the afternoon. Let me check out the barn on the horizon in the evening sunlight. So guys, get out there, keep doing it, keep learning, okay? Get out there. Another thing, experiment with light. Also, you can use flash. Learn how to use flash and all those other things. But natural light is your friend. It is the best light out there. Use natural light. Next, tell a story. Use your photos to tell a story. That's the whole purpose, right? Tell your story. Think about the emotions and messages you want to convey through your images. This will make your work more impactful and memorable. Tell your story. You are a storyteller. That's the whole reason for the camera. When you are with your friends and you pop out that little smartphone, you are telling the story of an event. You're telling the story of a child being born. You're telling the story of the first day at school, right? You're telling your story. So make sure you tell your story. We who are photographers are storytellers. Tell this. This will make your work more impactful and memorable when you have a story. A story. Tell your story. Next, challenge yourself to shoot. Sorry, get creative. Challenge yourself to shoot in new and creative ways. Try different angles. You heard me say that over and over. And perspectives and subjects. Sometimes the most unexpected shots turn out to be the best. Play around. Go to the left. Go to the right. Go low. Like we talked about many times. Get low. Shoot from above. Don't always shoot head on. Everyone shoots head on, right? Average folks, I should say that sounds so bad, right? When you say average folks with a camera, they just shoot head on. But you, if you want to make your photos more interesting, shoot from the left, shoot from the right, get low, go high, change the perspective, change your angles. It's going to help you have better photos. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Next. And now here's some photos. Here's some photos. There we go. There's some examples here. There we go. See, these are leading lines. You see these leading lines, angles? It makes you feel, and or you can say this is also a composition of rhythm. Like you have light, 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 and then you got that little dark area with the bench. So it breaks up the rhythm. There's many types of compositions, so learn them. Here's another one. Both the bike is to the left of the screen, right? We always talk about the rules of thirds, right? You got the framing of the bike, 2/3, and then you got the beach as another third, right? Make sure you do that. Here's another one. Rule of thirds happening here. Beautiful focus, beautiful lighting, natural light, little beading, a little drop on the leaf. You know what we do with the drop on the leaf, right? Most photographers, we walk around. I just happen to have my camera bag here with a bottle of water. And you take the bottle of water and you spray on the leaf, and it just makes the plant or the flower, and it gives it more drama to put little droplets. Anyway, that was just a sidebar. That was a side note. Okay, but again, get out there, and here's that barn. Here's that barn I was telling you about. Right? Look at those leading lines. All those leading lines. When we talk about leading lines, see those lines drawing you straight to the subject. The subject is the bar with the green, with the tree behind it. See all the leading lines moving. See the horizon. See that this is on the 1/3 line on the horizon, just above the middle. The middle is somewhere down here, but you got up here on the first third, the second third, and then the subject is in the middle, in the middle third. Knowing the rule of thirds. I know photographers that have been around. They say, "Oh, that's so corny. It's overrated." It's still, even though it's overrated, it's still a great principle to go by, right? Know the rule of thirds. No leading lines. No lighting. Look at this picture, has it all, right? This picture has it all. Look, nice sunset. The sky is setting, or it could be that the sun is rising, right? Those are the best hours. The best hours are taking photos early in the morning, or the hours before sunset, which we call what? The golden hour. But we'll talk about that another day. We've talked about that before. The golden hour. This is the golden hour. Look how beautiful everything looks. Or if you're a photographer, like some of the folks in this room, we do portraits. We do all kinds of photography. We need light. There's some lights, some artificial light, but then we got those window lights, light coming in from the windows. Got some lights here. Okay? And next, you may have something. You may want to eat it. I would say, have your cake and eat it too. Take pictures of everything. Tell your story. We all have a story to tell. We all have stories to tell in our lives. We all have stories to tell with our families. We all have stories to tell. So let's use our cameras. Okay. That is it for this week's Tip Tuesday. Remember, it's not about the gear you have, but how you use it. Keep practicing, stay inspired, and most importantly, have fun. Have fun. And it's happy shooting. And then one last thought. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. For all you YouTubers out there, or you Instagram. Well, this is never going. I don't post this on Instagram any longer. So you have to come to YouTube to get the full experience. Get the full experience. So go to YouTube, and if you get something out of this, make sure you put something in the comment box. Oh, wow, Ron, I learned this from this subject. Oh, I learned about that. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Y'all getting lessons that I charge for. So y'all better be embracing this stuff. Omar said, these are eternal photography lessons, Ron. You never leave this. That's right. That's right. My job here is to keep growing and help you build wherever you want to build. Become the best photographers. Become the best citizens in America. Become the best global citizens. That's right. YouTube experience. There we go. Say Dr. Tachi. The YouTube experience. So guys, enjoy. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to share with you before we leave. I know some of you guys are already gone, but guess what, y'all? Guess what? I mentioned it yesterday, and I wanted to share it with you today. So here we go. Here we go. Can you hear it? Oops. Can you hear the volume? I don't hear the volume. There it is.
The dream. Of course, Cheryl Lee Ralph with Abbott Elementary. We did an amazing Luther Vandross doc last night that was sold out. Excited about Fight Night tonight with Will Packer and Chloe Bailey and Taraji B. Henson. And
there's my photos. So my little name is on the top. Look, my name.
40 did a tribute to the 40th anniversary of Def Jam.
These are my photos, y'all.
ESP, and all these amazing independent films, from shorts, features to documentaries. They're all great.
I mean, what a lineup. Seriously, I'm buying my ticket.
I just had to share that with y'all. I was so excited to have my photos on ABC News yesterday. 2 days ago, it was on Saturday. It was so cool to be able to see. And then your name is up there. It says Ron Foster. I was like, yes, that's me. That's me. That's little old me. So again, guys, do what you love. Do what you love. And again, if you want to be a photographer, if you want to take your photography to the next level, just keep doing it. Practice, 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 practice. And you never know where your photos will end up. Who would have ever thought that my photos would be on a segment on ABC News? Not ABC local, ABC national, ABC News. I was like, yes, yes. Doors will open for you because if you learn your craft, the old saying, the old biblical verse is, what your gift will make room for you. So do your craft, enhance your craft, build on your craft, invest in your craft, live your craft, and it will open doors for you. Okay? There we go. There we go. So guys, as we close out, live life like you mean it. That's right. Live life like you mean it this week or today, and make sure we focus on what matters. Okay, guys, we'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow, I do believe we have a guest. We have a guest tomorrow, so stay tuned. We'll have that announcement later on. So come back tomorrow. Join us as we have a great day tomorrow. But guys, have a great day. Live life like you mean it, because you only get one life. Use it. Use it up. Use it well. Okay, I'm out. Love ya. See you tomorrow.